Listen, we got 800 people in here, dog. 800 people, and I cannot thank you enough for watching. Every day I stream, it's because I want to impress you guys. I want to entertain you guys. But the medium in which I need to use is driving me insane. It's driving me insane. I'll tell you guys a story. All right, you might have heard this one, but I'm going to change up the story a little bit. All right, you want to hear a story? When I was Mind of Moody, thank you for the 5 gifted subs, dude. When I was like 22 or 23, I didn't really have a lot of good decisions being made in my life. So I was driving this right-hand drive Japanese sports car, this Evo 1, and I was getting tickets. Like I was driving to university, I was getting parking tickets. I couldn't register my car, so I got the goddamn car towed one time, and finally I got my license suspended, and I couldn't drive to school anymore at university and my job and whatnot. So I was really sad. I was sad. I didn't have enough money to pay for my car and all the other stuff I needed to pay for. So I ended up having to start taking the bus. And unfortunately, when you're 22 years old and you're in university, your dating prospects are already kind of like not limited, but they're really limited when you can't drive anywhere, because you're like, yeah, I'll meet you there. You know, it's hard to get someone to agree to go somewhere with you if you're not driving. So I had resorted to Plenty of Fish, which was the online dating service before Tinder, before everything else. That's what I started to use. And now I had been working out, playing basketball, that kind of stuff. I was getting in better shape. So I wasn't like a total waste of skin, but I had never really experienced that online dating environment. You know what I mean? And what I had heard about Plenty of Fish is that, oh, people only use it ever for hookups, which of course I was interested in, but it had never happened to me like that. But I ended up talking to this one girl, like really nice looking girl. I thought she might have been like, I was just so suspicious of her because she was so hot, and she was into it. And you know, we were talking just via message, and she's like, so when are you coming over? And I was like, oh this is it. Yes. So I was like, Tuesday. And she's like, are you actually, you know? And then she starts like being aggressive with me. She's like, are you sure you can handle it and all this other stuff? And I was like, you damn right I can handle it. I'm gonna have a lot of sex with you and stuff. But no, I was like, yeah, I can handle it. And she's like, you know, asking me about my job, and I was like, I'm gonna bring my handcuffs. She's like, you better, and I want you to put them on tight. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna. And I was like, and I want you to answer the door naked. She's like, okay. So I was like, okay, but I'm like, where do you live? And she gives me her address, and she's like, my parents are out of town, but they're coming back, so you got to be out of here by 9 o'clock. And I was like, okay. So I get the address and I punch it into Google Maps, and it is way far away from where I live. Way far away. So I have to take a bus and a train and then another bus to get to where she lives. So it took so it's Tuesday night. I'm going to her place, and my parents are like, where are you going? I'm like, I'll be back later. Because I had to live at home, obviously, because I was dirt poor. So I go and I take the train and the bus to get to her. And God bless her, chat. God bless her. 18 years old. Opens the door, buck naked, head to toe. She's wearing clear plastic porn heels. Okay? Porn heels. I'm talking about clear plastic porn heels. And I was like, oh my God, this is the promised land. This is it. Woo! So I go in and she's like, you know, we're talking. She's naked. I'm like, hey, I'm Derek. She's like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you are really attractive and hot and naked and stuff. And she's like, yes, I am. Let's do this thing. And I was like, okay, lead the way. And we're walking through, and I see like a placard on, on her wall. And it was a Calgary Police Service retirement placard. Like my dad has one. He was a retired cop as well. So I see that and I was like, oh, your dad is a cop? And she's like, yeah, he used to be. And I was like, oh, mine too, blah, blah. Anyway, so sex having, here we go. So I go up and, I fucking slap the handcuffs on her real tight as per her request. And, things progress. I'm not going to give you the details because that would be, unprofessional. But I had brought my book bag, I had all my stuff with me, and she's like, oh, that was great. Thank you so much for the sex we just had. And I was like, no problem. She's like, these cuffs are starting to hurt. Can you take them off? And I was like, no problem. Crack open my book bag. My handcuff key is attached to my car keys, which are not in my bag. And that is a problem for multiple reasons. The first reason is the handcuffs are on tight, and they're real handcuffs, okay? Real. And the second thing is I have never met this person before, and I'm in her house with her. The time is 7:45. Her parents are coming home in an hour and 15 minutes, supposedly. So I am in the position now where I'm having to explain to this person, this lady who's naked and in handcuffs, that I'm not going to murder her. I'd be like, I honestly, like, I did not start the conversation out that well. I was like, listen, like, I'm not going to murder you or anything. Like, don't worry. Does your dad have any tools? Or where's your parents' room? She's like, why do you want to go in my parents' room? I'm like, no reason. Okay. And she's like, get these handcuffs off me right now. I'm like, listen, I forgot the keys. And then she starts, and she's like, she's rolling around, like trying to roll onto her stomach or onto her side to like look at me. And I was like, listen, I have a key. It's just at my house. And she's like, well, go get it. And I was like, okay, it's like pretty far away. And she's like, well, go drive and get it. And I was like, yes. So I walk out the house and I just leave her there. She's like, well, put a robe on me or something. So I'm like, sit her up. I put a robe on her, like her robe, like she's Batman or something. Like she's got a cape on now. I can't really, there's stuff has happened and whatnot. But anyway, so I'm like, walk out of the house and I'm like, I call on my cell phone a cab, but I'm broke, dude. I have like $122, like total. And I can only afford a cab one way. So I take a cab home. It's like $75, which is like separately a huge problem for me. And I get home and I run downstairs and my parents were like, well, that was quick. And I was like, none of your business, Mom. And my dad is downstairs where my room is watching TV. So I get my car keys and he's like, you're not thinking of driving, are you? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, where are you going? I was like, I need to take this. There's a naked girl handcuffed in a house really far away. Can you give me a ride? I had to explain to my dad why I'm doing what I'm doing. And he's like, are you out of your mind, dude? And I was like, we gotta go. Okay. So my dad, bless his heart, takes me to the north of the city from the south of the city so I can unhook this girl. And so I jump out of the car, run up, and I was like, do I ring the doorbell? Like, so I like knock on the door, go to wait for a minute, and then I go to put my hand on the doorknob and the door opens. And there's a man there. And it's her dad. And he's like, who are you? And I was like, hi, I'm Derek. And he's like, what can I do for you, Derek? And I'm like, I'm here to see. I can't remember her name. She told me her name and I was too distracted with her being naked. And I couldn't remember her name. And he's like, are you here for my mama? And I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, I'll go get her. I'm like, no, don't go get her. And he's like, what? Like, why would you say that? And I was like, I left my book bag upstairs and we were studying. I can just run up there. And he's like, who are you? And I was like, my name's Derek Mosley. And he's like, Mosley? I'm like, yeah, Mosley. And he's like, what's your dad's name? And I was like, Bob. And he's like, you're Bob Mosley's kid? Oh my God, I'm a blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, he's actually down there. He's actually down in the driveway. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, hold on a second. I'll go get him. So I go down to my dad and I'm like, Dad, listen, this guy knows you. You guys got to talk because I got to get upstairs. And he's like, wait, what? He knows me? I'm like, yeah, he's a cop too, or used to be a cop. He's like, what's his name? I'm like, I don't fucking know anyone's name. Okay, Jesus. I'm like, I'm gonna go get him. so I like go get the guy, and I was like, yeah, my dad. He talked to him. I'm like, I'm just gonna get my book bag. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, no problem. Go get your book bag. I run upstairs. This girl is like this, in the corner of her room, naked, like, and she's like, what the f-? And I was like, your dad is home. And she's like, I know, I said that I was like getting dressed and they didn't come in. My mom's like in a room. And I was like, turn the fuck around. Like, unhook her, take the goddamn handcuffs, shove in my book bag. I'm like, put your clothes on. We were studying. That's the story. Go. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, also, your name's blah, 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 right? She's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, fine. So I'm like, you know, we come out of the room and I'm like doing like the act cool face, like, yeah, anyway, yeah, calculus or whatever. Anyway, see you later. And I go down the stairs and I walk out to my car and I was like, yeah, sorry about the whole book bag situation. Anyway, we should leave. And my dad and him were like having a quick chat and whatever. I jump in the car and we left. And they went for lunch the next week. And that's the story. Did I ever hit her back up? Yeah, I tried to. I sent her a text and I'm like, so same time next week, and no response. Oh my God.